Welcome to the Back 9 Six-Pack with Mitch and Justin. Let's roll.
Hello and welcome to episode 79 of the Back 9 Six-Pack. My name is Mitch, joined as always by my esteemed colleague Justin. I was not prepared for just how dark and how early it was going to get that dark.
It's brutal. It's so brutal.
I went out to grill and it was like 5:40. I'm like, I need a flashlight.
It's not helped the last couple of days have been cloudy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, go ahead and pop your...
Customary liquid death. Yeah.
I'm going to get back to having a beer on these next week.
I need to too. I just keep coming off of these weekends that are a little rough. Shout out my brother got married. I was sick. I took it a little too far out at the after party. And I was down Saturday, just straight down.
You know what's funny is like after Halloween, because I got a little wild on it. I'm going to admit it. Like I got, by the way, update on that. The icing situation, I got ice on Halloween.
Nice.
Completely set up by my wife. She was like, hey, you got to come down here. Like, my legs hurt. You got to take over the trick-or-treating. I'm like, okay, where are you at? She tells me their house, our friend's house. So I walk down there, and they're like, hey, we got to, they give out full-size candy bars. The people they know, they put their names on them.
Yeah.
And they have, they've always asked me, I'm like, no, I don't need one. And, I didn't tell them what I should have seen right through this. But anyway, I reach into the candy jar, with the full-size candy bars, and I felt the metal top, and I'm like, son of a bitch. So I ended up getting ice. I got so wild on Halloween. The next 3 days, I was like, I just need to take a break.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to happen. So maybe I'm still milking it from Halloween. I don't know.
That's where I'm at. Sad state of affairs, really.
It really is.
But we're about to enter we're right in front of holiday season now. It's about to be just holiday bender after bender after bender.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saving myself up for.
I know.
I'm already looking at my Christmas party calendar, and because of it, I swear to God, I got back in the gym last week. I did. I was like, I gotta get back. I'm gonna gain 65 pounds during this. I to combat this. I need to lose 15 before. So the 60 I gain is not as bad.
Right.
So it's brutal. I really gotta save up. Got to put some deposits in before we can start taking some back out.
Exactly. Speaking of brutal, look, nobody likes when people talk about their fantasy teams, but I thought this was important for us to chat about. So
we just killed ourselves.
Yeah. So you and I had a real rough start. I think we were combined 1-9 to start the season, or 1-10 or something.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Made a little run.
We're both
of us
on a good run here. And we're looking at each other's rosters, and we're like, you know what? You had a draft where you just took hella wide receivers.
And I was deep, deep.
And I kind of had the opposite. I've been stashing all these running backs, sorry. And I was like, all right, I lost Ayuk for the season. I've been down Nico Collins, so I'm scraping the barrel at wide receiver. So I was like, all right, I can trade off one of these third or fourth running backs. Justin's got 4 or 5 wide receivers deep.
Yeah, and the way I was looking at it is T's going to be back at some point, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, you're CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, T. Higgins. You had Chris Olave and Romeo Dobbs. So, you had a really deep stable.
Yeah.
I give you Chuba Hubbard. Obviously on a bad team, has had a good season. For Chris Olave. Who, look, I hope everything's okay. Really tough scene. Coming off a concussion. Gets knocked out, frankly, on a hospital ball from Derek Carr. And has to go,
setup,
literally has to go to the hospital. So, hopefully he's all well. Doesn't matter if he comes back this season or not, whatever. But I'm so down bad at wide receiver. And then you proceed to take CeeDee Lamb, gets an AC injury. Drake London, likely hip pointer. T. Higgins may never play again. Who knows?
I went from deep at wide receiver to now I'm looking at my running backs these are my anchors.
Yeah. And it's tough.
Yeah.
So
yeah, apparently CD's supposed to play through this, is what I've read. But it still doesn't bode well for Drake London, who seems like it's at least going to be 2 or 3 weeks. I got a bye week next week with Romeo Dobbs. we might be picking somebody up on the waiver to start at wide receiver, which would have never crossed my mind a week ago.
No. So felt like a good, like, all right, strength for strength, weakness for weakness situation. And I think
we're doing a good thing for it was a good trade. It was a good trade. Like, you were getting something you needed. I was getting something that I desperately needed with some bye weeks and possible injuries.
Right.
With running backs, that can happen in a blink of an eye, and here we are.
Yeah. Well, at least Chuba, I think he put up 70 and 2 touchdowns for you. So you're getting something out of it.
I did, but I'm catching the brunt end of someone about to score 150 points this week. So
that's tough.
Which is like the third time that's happened to me. So.
Yep. Anyway, that's enough fantasy talk. Excuse me. Thank you for listening. Always subscribe, rate, and review the show. Really appreciate that. Follow us on social media at Back96Pack. We don't have any fan mail this week, so hey, next week fire them off. Let us know. It's down in the description.
I thought I saw one, but I looked.
Look, I will admit, there's one we got from Hinkle, and I have no idea what he was talking about. So we're just not even going to get into it.
That sounds like him sitting out back in his backyard.
Probably. Yeah, maybe, he was poolside in October.
Yeah.
Last thing I wanted to touch on, just because we brought it up with the Halloween costumes last week, you and the big boy. Big boy's down bad all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Frishes are just being closed left and right.
Yeah, and then they got the graveyard you sent me, that picture.
Yes, the big boy graveyard is
down.
thing.
It's down by like Xavier, isn't it? Like
I didn't see the
that's
location.
what someone told me.
Okay.
Those are from like the previous ones that closed.
Yeah.
I desperately want one. And if someone that listens to the show can get me one, like, my life will be made.
Yeah, we need a big boy in Justin's man cave.
Yeah.
Like
I'll put it in my basement. It'll legit go in my basement. Yeah. Like, I will make that happen.
You got a couple good spots for it.
Yeah.
You can even sneak in that bathroom down there if you want to. Be like a little bathroom attendant.
Maybe cut out a hole in it and like put it like over my urinal and like so you're like peeing into Big Boy.
Oh God.
I think that would be freaking awesome.
No, I think use him as a bathroom attendant.
Yeah.
Put like some mints in his hand or something.
That's a good idea. Damn.
Yeah. Hang a towel over his arm.
Yeah, Big Boy's down. Someone told me that, like, I think there's only going to be like 3 left in Cincinnati after this this eviction and
there's a ton of
closings. Oh, man, it's sad.
And then I just saw today Wendy's is shutting down like 150 underperforming stores.
Yeah. TGI Fridays just filed bankruptcy. Like, our childhood restaurants are just disappearing
the attack on chains continues.
I mean, Steak and Shake already did that to us like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
There is still one Steak and Shake left that I know of that's relatively close. It's downtown Indianapolis. I'm pretty sure that one will never close because that's the only restaurant open after like 12 o'clock down there.
Okay.
And it's always packed. But like Steak and Shake, like all these good, I think someone said Applebee's is filing for bankruptcy.
That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the Dollarita can only get you so far. So,
I mean, at best, what are they, like breaking even on that?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. No, they're probably making a little bit, not enough to keep the lights on. Though.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Man. Anyway, I just had to bring that up just because I didn't know.
Yeah.
I thought you may have cursed Frisch's, honestly.
I might have, maybe, but all these problems started when I stopped wearing it for Halloween. So maybe I gotta put it back.
You were
on.
their only like awareness play. Like you were keeping the marketing.
Look,
alive.
I would gladly do anything to keep Frisch's around. That cherry Coke is. I mean, I don't know what it is. Like I've had cherry Coke other places. It doesn't rival. It does not rival what the cherry Coke tastes like at Frisch's.
Yeah, and they always had the ice, like the good ice.
Oh, the nuggets.
Yeah, like the little tiny, like kind of like crushed nuggets.
I may have gotten sucked in recently to an Amazon like deal day.
Ice machine.
And bought one of those like 2 days ago. And it should be here any day. And I need it now. Frisch's isn't going to be open. Yeah. I need to make my own nuggets.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, tough scenes all around on that front. I wanted to chat about our golf course because I haven't seen our golf course in seemingly months.
It's so good.
But ahead of the Turkey Open here in just a couple weeks, I was glad to hear the rave reviews you were giving.
It's so good
for the condition. And
yeah,
the greens.
again, I mean, they probably were rolling like 11 and a half. I played on Tuesday with some business partners, and 2 of them were experienced golfers. One was brand new, but the 2 that they were like, these greens are really good. Like. And like they play nicer courses. You know, they've played like a lot of the nicer public courses around. They're like these are the best greens we've ever putted on. But that's how, and you know, even if the weather turns, say like over the next 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I still think the course is going to be in like perfect shape, unless something drastic changes, like 3 or 4 inches of rain between now and then.
Right.
Could change it, but right now it's looking like the course is going to be in fantastic shape for that tournament.
Oh, that's what we need.
No, I mean, the greens are what it is. It's not even how fast they are. It how like you hit a putt and there's no bumping.
It's just smooth.
It's smooth, and like you hit your line, like it goes on the line you're hitting it on, and that's how. Like I don't even care for the fastness, right? Like I don't know how you feel. Like 10 and smooth to me is just as good as. It's better than like 12 and bumpy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm definitely not one of these speed obsessed people.
No, I'm not. So. I'm like, if they're smooth and 10 and a half, I don't really care.
Yeah, just let them roll true. That's all
I just want to be able to hit the line, you know, hit it on the line I'm trying to hit it on and it not like hop off or something like that, you know?
Right.
So, but yeah, it's playing firm right now because we really haven't had a ton of rain. You know, we got rain on Halloween, but it really wasn't a lot.
No.
So it's playing how it should be playing. You know, firm and fast.
God, just give us sunny and 50s on Black Friday.
Yeah, God,
I'd be in good shape.
We need like a cold week before that because if we don't, we're gonna get the cold week that week.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, the weather's got to change at some point. Like
maybe not.
I mean, I'm looking like 10 days out and it's still like 60s on the board. So
well, again, knock on wood.
And how many days out are we from the Turkey Open?
24?
Yeah, it's the 28th.
25?
No, it's the 29th, right?
Oh, okay.
So 25.
It's like 3.5 weeks.
Yeah. I don't know. I just know we need a cold week in there somewhere just to like let it get it out of its system, maybe warm back up a little bit.
Yeah. Or else we'll be playing in snow.
Yeah, I know. The way our weather works, that would not surprise me.
Right. So how many times have you done this 10-man scramble? I feel like
this
I don't know
my
enough
third
about
year.
This. Okay. Explain this to me. Where'd you play?
Belterra.
Okay.
Yep.
And how does it work?
So it's a 10-man scramble.
Literally,
and it's Greenskeeper Revenge. All the pins are... Okay. You almost have to do that, right? Or teams are going to shoot 23, 24 under if you have pins in normal places. Some of the pins yesterday were they've always been hard, but there was like a handful of them. You're like, if we make birdie here, it might be a skin. There was a par 4 that did not have a birdie on it.
Damn.
I had heard some stories from a couple other groups that like they hit the center of the hole, but because of where it's at, it was moving too fast. And then like hop over the hole because their greens were really good too. But yeah, so 10-man scramble, Greenskeeper Revenge, no mulligans, no strings, no just straight up scramble. I sent you a picture. It is a clusterfuck.
Yeah, dude.
It is like there's no way around it. You have 5 carts in a group. Like
I would not be able to just like from a patience perspective. I don't think I would be able to do it.
I'll say in years past, we've never waited. So there's 15 groups every year. They try to give a little bit of a buffer just because there's 10 people per group. We've never waited, but this year we did wait on a handful of holes. But like, you know, when you get like 5 holes in and guys, like for the most part, like our group this year, we had probably 5 new guys, 5 of the same guys that we had from last year. But like once you kind of start feeling it out, like there's a couple guys like, all right, I'm not gonna hit drive. Dude, we had a guy in our group yesterday. Most of the time he would try to go like near the end, just because like if he caught one, it wasn't gonna matter, you know. But dude, he had the smoothest one. I mean, legitimately throwing the ball out there, 340 to 360, and big guy. Yeah, it was just kind of one of those. But then, like, we get holes in, you're like, all right, I'm not hitting right. Like, there was probably 2 or 3 holes. I'm like, we're 350 in the fairway. Like, what am I going to do to improve that, really? Right. You know what I mean? Not much. There were some guys like, hey, I've been struggling. Like, I'm still going to hit a tee shot. It's like, okay, do that. But you get so far in, like you might only be hitting like 5 tee balls, right?
Yeah.
You get, there was probably like 5 or 6 guys. It's like, okay, if for some reason the longer guy doesn't hit the fairway, one of these guys is going to hit the fairway, and we're going to be 300 to 310 out there. You know what I mean? So it does speed that up. But like the approach shot, you're hitting 10 approach shots.
Yeah, because on the off chance somebody makes it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is a bit of a cluster. But they do like proximities on every hole because the pins are so hard. I hit a shot from 215 yesterday to a back pin. I was just before the ledge run off, like the run off the green, and the pin was like on the downslope of the runoff. I hit it to like 10 feet. Thought for sure that was going to hold up. Magically get beat by 18 inches, which I don't even know. Like everybody in the group was like, after I hit the shot, it's like, I don't know how much closer you can get it just because
without it running
it's going to run off the edge, right? Like, and then you're like, well, can you keep it down there? Like I dropped the ball and like to the right side of the pin, it just ran off. Like, so like you couldn't even be right of the pin and keep it on the green because you have to be on the green for the proximity. It's not like, oh, I was on the fringe, I was 4 feet away, kind of thing. So, but I think there were 5 18 unders.
Damn.
Which, look, there's some players out there, and I'm seeing names and faces and stuff. I'm like, legitimately probably had like 5 of the top 25 mid-ams in Kentucky out there. You probably had 4 or 5 top 40 in Ohio mid-ams out there. Like we had 2 college kids on our team. One guy played at Miami, who was a stud. Like, dude, Dustin, like you put his swing next to Dustin John, almost a mirror image.
Oh, wow.
We had Mark McDonald, who's from Miles of Golf, probably one of the best teachers. And I know people say like, if you can't play, you teach.
Yeah.
Mark is an excellent player. And he's a great teacher too. So we had and there were some other college kids out there. A guy made the finals in the Met was out there. Like there were some players, but it was like when you hear that one of the groups, it was like 5 old guys and 5 other guys, and they all had jeans on that came in an 18 under. I know you can't judge a book by its cover, but
they just know Belterra really well.
But it's kind of one of those things that's like you wonder.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially with the amount of cash that was out there. So we had a carryover last year from the skins pot. The skins pot was like almost $6,000.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Winner gets like 4,800 or 5,000, something like that. And then there's like another, I don't know, like $5,000 in the skins pot, or like, so we had $6,000 in the skins pot, but then there's like the proximities I think are worth like 200 or 300 a piece. Like, so there's a lot of money and they say like, well, like don't go out and cheat. It's like, okay, but you get guys that are going to go out there and cheat. Like there's always the possibility of that. Which that's why I like our tournament, because like unless you're planning on paying off the people you're playing with, which won't happen, you can't cheat.
Yeah. No. That's the one benefit of doing, 2-man events and stuff. Like you're playing against someone, you're with someone you're competing against. So
yeah, and I've heard of like 4-man scrambles that are cash prizes. You play in an 8-some, so you're playing with another 4-some.
Yeah. So
it keeps people honest. But yeah, I the first year I didn't feel like cheating happened. Second year I'm like, okay, I don't think so. This year I'm like, because there was like 3 teams at 18. I knew 2 of the teams. I'm like, that's a possibility. We were at 17. The pins were exponentially harder yesterday than they were the previous 2 years.
Yeah.
To have more teams at 18 definitely raises some eyebrows.
Right.
To me, anyway.
Were there any aces in this competition?
No, there was a hole out on the 9th hole, which was the only skin.
Oh, that's nice.
And knowing where that pin was, it's not impossible. Nothing's impossible, right? But it's like one of those things like, I don't know. It was like, okay, I guess, like maybe. Yeah, I don't know. But this year, 5 teams at 18 just raises eyebrows. Considering like the first year I played in, I think 15 won it. Just in case you're wondering.
Yeah, and that's not very low when you think about having 10 shots at a.
No, but the pins are so hard.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Like eagles on the par 5s are hard, right? Like a lot of times you're going to have to make a 20-foot putt. A lot.
Oh, yeah.
Like I remember the first year, I think I won a proximity by hitting it to a par 4 like 15 feet.
Right.
Like I just stayed higher on the hill than everybody else did, essentially. But then like I hit it to 10 feet on the par 5 and I didn't win anything. So it is what it is. But it's fun. I mean, I don't know. I said I'm like thinking about maybe not playing in it next year. To me, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you get to play a nice course, but it's like the integrity behind it. The guy that runs the tournament's awesome. Tyler is great. And I know if he could monitor everybody and figure out a way to make sure no one cheats, he would. It's just impossible.
Right.
I mean, unless you got 15 volunteers to go out there to score people. I mean, that's the only way around it, really.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how else you do it.
Yeah.
Put video cameras on every cart. I mean.
Or trail cams. And the way that course is set up, it's not like you can, like, see a bunch of other groups. Like, you kind of only see groups, like, on a handful of holes, just the way the course is set up.
Right. Okay.
But it's fun. Yeah, we'll see about next year.
All right. Best thing you saw in golf this week?
I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. Mine's going to take a while.
Oh, boy.
No, I just thought I would use this as an opportunity to kind of talk. Have you seen all the announcements that the tour has come out with about the schedule and the fields and everything for?
I have.
Okay. I'm a fan of this for 2026, these changes. I can already tell you won't be, or I know why you wouldn't be at least. So for those that don't know, the player advisory council and all that stuff, the board, whatever, they have decided or the proposal is to create new maximum field sizes. And they're going down from like the highest are like 156 down to 144, and the ones that were in that 140 range are kind of going to 120. That's like on a tournament level.
Okay.
Now, the obvious other side of that is they are essentially reducing the number of tour cards that are available.
Yeah, I don't like that.
That's what I figured you would not like. So they're going from the 125 to the 100 basically. And then they're also kind of they're cutting some of the pathways down a little bit too to help.
Yes, they are.
Soften that 125 down to the 100. The Corn Ferry Tour is going from 30 to 20. They're capping Q school graduates at the top 5 finishers. And they're either eliminating, in some cases, the Monday qualifiers, or they're reducing the number from 4 to 2 that get in during FedEx Cup season.
There's a handful of tournaments that there's no longer going to be Monday qualifiers.
Right, as I said, they're either getting rid of it or they're reducing some of the ones that do have it.
I know that because Monday Q Info, one of my favorite Twitter followers, he changed his Twitter name to No More Monday Q Info.
Yeah.
After this came out.
That's a tough scene for Ryan, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But look, a lot of the things that I struggle with having watching golf recently has to do with the fields being too big, tournaments taking too long. They're like,
well, especially in the beginning of the year, because like when they're in like Sony and the Century Tournament of Champions, even with like a kind of a modified field, they run into darkness problems.
Yeah, so this is one of the things they cited in this. They took a look at the tournaments in which the field failed to complete an otherwise uninterrupted round in the allotted amount of time and daylight, and they found that nearly a third of events last year, or in 2024, had at least one round suspended by darkness.
Yeah.
And as a fan, it was so frustrating, and especially with, gambling coming along more, DFS, like DraftKings, FanDuel, all that stuff, to not be able to play matchups and just it be done in one day, or to have first round leader bets out there and then the tournament resumes at, and there's half of a third of a round still to go for some players out there. It was just maddening from a fan perspective.
Yeah.
And I think,
and I'll say this: Billy Ho went on Ryan's podcast,
yes,
and he kind of talked about that. And that's the one point where I'm like, okay, I get that. Like that to me makes sense. It just comes off in a time of golf that they're like, these top guys are just ladder pulling. Like they're pulling up the ladder after they already made it to the top. And that's kind of how, perfect example. Patrick Cantlay, when he got his tour card, heading into the playoffs was still outside. Like he was not getting his tour card. He earned his tour card through the Korn Ferry playoffs. And how it's set up now, he still wouldn't have gotten it. Like how it's set up.
Yep.
And like, who knows? You know, like just it's no guarantee the next year he goes back. Like, so many psychological things that go through. Like, would he have made it where he is now if it is the way it is now? And he's one of the ones ladder pulling. Like I get the darkness stuff, and I don't have a problem with them shrinking some of those fields like earlier in the year, later in the year. I have no problem with that. They're shrinking some in the middle, which that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, if that's what you're going after.
Those are the ones that, like, honestly, like, they are scraping the bottom of the barrel to get guys to play. So that's where, like, I don't have as much sympathy for this, like, oh, guys aren't getting starts. They're bringing back guys that are, like, Champions Tour and beyond to play in some of these fields. Guys that have been off the tour for years and years, and they're putting them in there.
And to me, that's where, like, sponsors exemptions should be expanded.
Yeah, I mean that I could get it down for. It just, I mean, sponsors exemptions are weird because some tournaments will use it in what we would say is a good
great way, right? Like a guy, like but
giving opportunities to younger players, you know, that kind of stuff. But others,
Maverick McNeely was on like the sponsors exemption, like freight train there for a while when he didn't have his card.
Think about like Webb Simpson.
And his dad's like a wealthy guy. So it's like, okay, he's just got friends in places that, you know, some guys don't, right?
Right.
So yeah, I get what you're saying. Sometimes they're used for good, sometimes they're not. But like, I don't know. Just shrinking the vents in the middle, I get what you're saying. And maybe after this year I see where they're coming from. I hate the fact that they're just shrinking the cards that are given out at the end of the year. I don't like that. To me, it takes away from the Korn Ferry Tour more than anything, as far as like those end events, the playoffs, and things like that. They're fighting for less spots. It doesn't make that as exciting.
Yeah, it ends up being like this weird. There's so many different categories, right, of players. They had all these like convoluted like ways you get into fields and these different priority rankings and all this stuff that we could never track. Remember, like this. We're like, oh, how's this guy in the field? And you'd like see like some random thing you've never heard of in the field list of how they got in. So like you have that stuff, and then you would get these guys that would graduate from Korn Ferry and they'd be put in this like low category thing, and they would just keep struggling to get starts because they're just too far down on the rankings. They're like alternates. They end up having to try to Monday qualify anyway, even though they have a freaking card. Like, I don't know. I think condensing is a good thing, having stricter, so you can kind of like, I think for those Korn Ferry guys and stuff that are good enough to make it, they will still get there. I think what it's going to do is cut down some of this, like, these dudes that just hang on forever and ever without ever, like, really winning or doing anything.
Yeah, I get that too.
Off.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's my hope for it, at least. And like I said, purely from a fan perspective, I think smaller fields, clear to understand pathways, clear to understand, like cards and getting into fields and all this stuff is just a better thing for the product.
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of like where they're at in the tour's like cycle as a league. With all the stuff that's happened in the last few years, this is just like the evolution that they need to take to
and
be
like
more
I said,
sustainable.
We might watch it and I might feel completely differently in 12 months.
I mean, it's also less guys they feel like they have to try to put on the TV, which they already struggle with anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just like, just make it a little cleaner and tighter. I'm a fan of that. So that was my favorite thing I saw in golf this week. And I could be wrong in a year too, so we'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree though. Like these beginning tournaments, like starting in January, And it's not their fault. It's just like there's just not a lot of daylight in the day. It doesn't matter where you're at in the country. Like everywhere is shorter, especially in this in the northern hemisphere. Like
you
it's
get
just
weather delays with like fog or cold.
yeah. If
like,
there's
all
like
kinds of stuff.
any delay at all, it's done. You know what I mean?
And that puts a strain on the tour, strain on TV, strain on the players, like all of it. So
my best thing this week was the East Lake Cup.
oh yeah,
I don't know if you got to watch it. I watched a little bit of it. College golf being on TV now is so good.
yeah, for sure.
It's like it always made like especially the big like it's only the bigger programs, right? It's not like they're not showing, but it's like everybody loves college football. Like people love college athletics. Like that was the one thing I'm like people love to watch golf. Like, why are we not showing more? And now, like, over the last 5 years, they've really – and now you have this East Lake Cup. I think this has been going on forever, but they televise it now. They do, like, a stroke play into a match play, kind of like what the national championship is. It's just fun, especially the match play. It's just fun to watch.
So you're telling me they do a stroke play to match play tournament at East Lake?
Yes.
Wow, it's possible.
It is possible. It is possible. They do it, and it's women's and men's.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of the Ohio State versus Florida State. Florida State is, I mean, I think they made the Final Four last year.
Gotcha.
But they're good. Like, and I think they brought a lot of that team back. Ohio State, we had a Cincinnati kid that was playing in it. That was fun to watch.
Ohio State golf has kind of been bucking. No pun intended.
Yeah, no, they had like, so they've gone like they've had some turnover in the coaching section over the last like 7-8 years, but their coach now seems to be in for the long haul.
Yeah,
like they had a guy in there, I can't remember his name, but he was an assistant at Oklahoma State. As soon as that job came open, like he immediately like jumped and went to Oklahoma State, which I don't blame him, right?
he went to the good OSU.
Yeah, it's well, especially in golf, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
especially in golf, and that's like well noted. But it was just fun. And then like I said, we had a Cincinnati kid, actually a Westchester kid that was playing in it for Ohio State, which was fun to watch. I don't know, it's a cool form of golf, especially anytime you can watch match play. I think is a chef's kiss. Like it's the best form of golf. But no, that was my favorite thing. And East Lake's just it's so some people hate it. I don't mind it. I don't mind it for that type of golf. Like the Tour Championship, it can take a hike. But like for this, it was
that's what I mean. That's why I think if the Tour Championship had a different format, it might actually be really good. Because I find the course kind of interesting, and the changes they made seemed like they were good changes.
Yes,
so
I agree. Yeah, but like I don't know that it's just like watching match play played on this course felt right.
Right, and it's not August in Atlanta. Like
and they just like they got a good finishing hole for match play too. Like
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they've got good holes for match play.
Like those last 3-4 holes are like really good for match play. Yeah. Really good for match play. But yeah, I don't know. It was just fun. Like I did, and I watch a ton of college golf now that it's on, and they do play. Typically, there's like now they're kind of going into their off season, but you'll see in like February, you'll start seeing tournaments on during the week, which is awesome.
Yeah, all that and all the amateur golf that you can get now, it's pretty remarkable that it's all on TV.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like they have so we had the Western Am like right up here in Dayton, Ohio. A lot of that was on ESPN Plus this year, so. I think they realize that, especially with how we just talked, not to rehash what we just talked about, like where professional golf is. I think they're trying to venture out and to see, hey, people may want to watch golf. Maybe it's just not that. Like they may want to like venture into other forms of golf, which is college and amateur golf. So, and look, those guys are just as like they're not like top 10 in the world, but like there's some guys that if you threw them in a professional tournament tomorrow would 100% have a chance to make the cut and probably be in the top 20, 15 in the event. Like these kids get so good so early now, it's incredible.
Yeah. No doubt. All right. From golf to football, NFL time. for our team draft, your squad can't get out of its own way. Let's put it that way. And you got too many like team on team crime.
I know. I've kind of looked at the schedule. I think that's going to start to slow down a little bit.
Okay, that's good. All right, so your 49ers are on bye. They're still 4-4.
At least there wasn't a loss.
Exactly. You went 2-3 this week, by the way. The Ravens beat down the Broncos. Your Eagles beat your Jaguars. That's tough. Your Packers lost to my Lions. And the Dolphins, again, close but no cigar, losing to the Bills.
I thought they might pull that game out.
Yeah,
for a hot second.
It was close. So again, you went 2-3. Your total record 26-25, still floating above 500. You've got a clear separation of like you got that core 3 teams. The Niners, we'll see how they shake out, but then the Dolphins and Jags are just wearing you down.
Remember how we said the AFC West was like going to be like low key good this year? I remember that in the
East or the West.
Their NFC West, sorry.
Oh, yeah,
excuse
NFC
me.
West. Yeah, everyone's
like
like
oh my
500.
gosh, like they could be like low key good, then there's like all average.
Yeah, they're all anybody could win right now. They're all like 4.
The Seahawks can't score from like the 2-yard line ever.
No. So, you know what the Seahawks are doing is like, if you watch any of their games recently, they make some of the worst plays you will ever see happen.
Yeah. Yeah,
like
I saw
over people's heads.
Yeah.
Guys like just running backwards inexplicably.
Pick 6 yesterday from inside the 5.
I mean, Geno's like back to like Jets Geno
Yeah.
sometimes. He's throwing some obscene interceptions.
Just too much confidence.
Like truly bad. So yeah, for my team, I went 3-2 this week, pending the Chiefs. I don't know what's happening in that game right now. They're playing the Bucs tonight. The Bengals beat down the Raiders. Lions, not a beat down, but pretty significant the way they beat the Packers.
We can get into this now. I bet you were probably like, "Oh, you're doom and gloom." I'm not.
No.
And the beat down, like, so they lost by 10.
Yeah.
It was a pick 6, and the Packers missed a field goal.
Right.
The Packers outgained them by like 270 yards. The best offense in the league, they outgained them by like 270 yards yesterday. It's just when 2 good teams are playing, it's whoever makes mistakes. If you make the mistakes, you're going to lose. And if both make mistakes, then it's probably even. But the Lions didn't turn the ball over yesterday, and they didn't miss a field goal. You know what I mean? So then, like, there's the difference right there. So I feel comfortable about where the Packers are at heading into the bye week, even though we had a loss last week.
Yeah, I think you should feel fine about it. I agree with you. I just think the Lions are like, they're just a wagon right now.
They are taking a bit of a heel turn, though.
Think so?
They were very lovable last year and good, right?
Yeah. I mean, you had the stuff with Amon-Ra and the Green Bay sucks, and then he's like high-fiving the fans and doing the Lambeau leap. And
yeah, it's taken a heel turn.
I disagree. I love the Lions, and I love Dan Campbell.
Brian Branch is, and I would have said this before yesterday, is becoming one of the dirtier players in the NFL.
I haven't watched him
and there's
close
a reason
enough.
why, like, if that's your first offense, you don't get ejected for that hit. There's a reason why he got ejected. Like, the whole, like, repeat offenders thing is a real thing now.
Yeah.
Like, if they think you're becoming a dirty player, they're not going to let hits like that happen. Now, if that's like your first offense, you're probably not going to get ejected. But there's a reason why he got ejected yesterday. He is I think he's quickly becoming one of the dirtiest players in the NFL. Because like yesterday, that hit, like he didn't have to hit that guy. He made a choice to hit him in the head.
Yeah, I heard the ejection happening, but
he took like 3 steps as the guy was falling to the ground. And you could clearly see the ball was already like bounced out of his hands and like head to head.
Gotcha.
So that's why I said the heel turn. Like they were the lovable Lions last year, and like I said, I was even like, hey, when you're not playing the Packers, like I don't mind rooting for because I like Dan Campbell.
Right.
But they're taking a heel turn.
Okay. Well, we'll monitor that.
And there might have been yesterday like a little like across sidelines. I saw Matt LaFleur after one of the plays. I think that like when they turned it over on downs, like he was looking across the sidelines telling him to F off. So there might be some bad blood there. The handshake looked a little Look, I love Matt LaFleur, but there is no chance I'd take Matt LaFleur in a cage match, even if he had a gun in his hand.
No, and that kind of, honestly, I didn't see it or whatever, but just the way you're describing it, it just sounds a little like whiny to me.
I think what it was is, I think that it's just like the interdivision, and I think it was more of like the Packers just shooting themselves in the foot and Matt feeling like they probably should have really won. Like, if you showed me the yardages, I'd have told you Green Bay was up by 17 points, especially in that weather yesterday. I think it was more of like him feeling like a game slipped away and probably frustrations coming out more towards them than where it probably should have been, is my guess.
It's also a key point. Lions' first game outdoors this season, too.
Which is, I heard that, and I'm like, no way. So I went back and looked. Yeah, it was their first game outside.
Yeah, I think they have like 16 of 17, or no, 15 of 17 or something like that, because the Bears are indoors this year. It's wild.
Are the Bears indoors this year?
No, I'm saying there's 15 of 17 for the Lions.
Oh, yeah.
They play the Packers outdoors and the Bears outdoors.
Is there that many indoor stadiums? I guess there is. I mean, the Vikings are indoors.
Yeah.
Yeah, Falcons. Yeah, I guess
Cowboys,
there is a lot.
Falcons, all this. There's a ton of them.
How about the failure by the Cardinals organization yesterday not closing the dome?
Yeah. Starts hailing in the middle of the game.
Like, what is that?
Then they start to close it, but it takes like
it's not,
20 or 30
it doesn't
minutes.
just like close. Like, it's not like a car window.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, what a failure that was.
That was wild to see. Back to my squad here. Sorry. Texans take an L to the Jets. That was a little bit tough, but they're down. They got a lot of injuries right now. My Falcons, team on team crime, beat my Cowboys. No, those are Hinkle's Cowboys. Sorry, they're not my Cowboys. That's a team we've been talking about. Like, are you going to have one of those that bottoms out? I'm real worried about the Cowboys right now.
Yeah, it's not looking great. I'm going to a Cowboys game in Dallas this year.
Well, get ready for
on the 21st.
Cooper Rush or what's his face, Trey Lance.
Yeah,
because Dak's hurt.
I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm kind of glad they're going to be bad. The tickets might be cheaper, so
maybe.
But I remember, like, when we decided to go to this game with my sister-in-law, I was like, oh my God, like, I have to see the Commanders twice this year because I went to the Monday night game here and like they're going to be so bad.
Yeah.
And now it's like, now I'm kind of excited about seeing them again, and Dallas is going to be the team that's like not fun to watch.
Exactly. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Does McCarthy finally lose it?
Yeah, I think this is it.
It feels like it's time.
And barring some crazy turnaround and then making the playoffs, this might be it.
Yeah. So more to watch in Dallas. My team is 33-17. I've got a nice 7-game lead over you. Well, we already kind of dived in there on the Packers. I think you're right to feel okay where things are. We just need Jordan Love. Let's get a good run of healthy games.
Yeah, and like that pick six yesterday was a lot to do with like not 100% and whether I think if he can move how he can move, he probably doesn't make that play. He's bye week's probably not. It's probably coming at the best time possible for him.
Yeah, definitely.
And who knows? Like maybe a groin injury is longer than that, so he still might not be 100%. But having a week of nothing is probably going to be what he needs.
Yeah, and there was some other stuff too. I mean, Dontavian Wicks may not have hands. I don't know if that guy can catch. Christian Watson gunned Texas and was like, that's the worst receivering I've ever seen done.
Okay, I went back and watched. At first, I was like, dude, it's gusting. Like, it's like trying to catch a fly ball, right?
Right.
If, if the wind's blowing, that ball can be moving everywhere. I rewatched it in like slow motion. It was bad. I'll give Guns credit. It was he took what should have been probably a touchdown, and the ball didn't even come within 5 feet of him.
Yeah, it was not good.
It was not good. I at first I was like, you got to kind of give him the benefit of the doubt with the weather, and then it's like you watch it again, you're like, and then I probably watched it 10 times. I'm like, it just got worse every time I watched it. So.
Yeah. So yeah, they've, like you said, going on bye, and then they're going to Chicago, and then they host the Niners. Should be. I mean, those are two pretty big games for them in terms of wild card stuff. So we will see where they shake out there. As for the Bengals, like I mentioned, they rolled the Raiders. They had to. Still a lot of weirdness around this team. Obviously, the Raiders are terrible. So, like, I think they've got they're 4-5 now. All 4 wins against teams that have 2 wins, I think. Which, by the way, there are 9 2-win teams in the league right now.
Yeah, it's not good.
6 in the AFC and 3
Very
in the NFC.
top-heavy league this year.
Yeah. I think at this time last year, I think I saw a stat, there was like maybe 6 of them or whatever. So, yeah, much more like really bad teams this season. I don't know. The Bengals, like, there's a lot of talk about, they've only made 2 in-season trades in like the last 50 years.
Well, I did read something right before we came here.
Okay.
That they're in the running for Chase Young.
Interesting.
They apparently have been pretty aggressive in trade talks for him. I mean, the Saints are in full sell mode at this point.
The Saints seem like a clear, like, their roster needs to get picked over.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it sounds like Chase Young is... It could, and it probably, honestly, at this point, that's what they need. It should happen. The Bengals should probably find a way to make that happen. But that's what I read. I don't know. You never know about those reports. Like, what is aggressive? Like, is that like, hey, is the Bengals only willing to give up a 6-rounder?
Right.
And they want a 4th-rounder? You just don't know. I would say going anything over a 4th round would be a mistake because I think he's got 2 years left on his contract, actually.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's the thing with the Bengals. It's like, I'd be fine with them getting some rental players. Just, they got to
try to make
picks,
a run.
Man.
Yeah.
These picks stink anyway.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything with them.
You're just going to waste it anyway.
Try to get like a bona fide player that can help you right now.
Yeah, and he is. That is a need for them right now. And honestly, getting a better pass rush probably solves some of their back end issues just because if you can get pressure, like having a good defensive line that gets pressure all the time solves a lot of back end issues.
Yeah, it's right. That's like
if they have to cover for 2 seconds, it's a lot easier than having to cover for 4 when you can't.
Yeah, that's kind of like a chicken and egg thing, right? Where like you can get coverage sacks all day if you have a really good secondary, or your pass rush can make your secondary look a lot better. So
yep, exactly.
There's 2 ways to go about that. Some help on the D line would be great. I would love to see him make a move for an interior offensive lineman or a tackle, even with Orlando Brown kind of seemingly questionable here and there. But I don't know that they will. But that they're truly like atrocious in the trenches right now.
Yeah,
on both
it's not
sides of
good.
the ball. So it's like just anything to bolster that a little bit.
Like you always hear the football guys, like games are won and lost in the trenches. That's it. Like most games are won and lost there.
Yeah.
Whether you're getting pressure or you're getting push.
The thing with the game yesterday was like, it was one of those games where you realize like how much Joe Burrow carries the team. It is absurd. Every touch, he had 5 touchdown passes. All of them were like off script, him buying time, finding somebody getting open or whatever the last second. I think he completed his first like 15 to 18 passes.
I don't want to make this comparison, but it's very Andrew Luckish.
And that terrifies me because his career ended very early.
Tell me,
Yeah,
because he kept telling them, I need protection, and they never did it, and he was just like, well, I'm not going to have my 10th concussion, so I'm quitting.
Yeah, and look, a lot of people were like, oh, it's the best line that Burrow's had, and I'm like, I don't know. I kind of think he's just extending plays a lot.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
I mean, I just don't see it, and the numbers don't shake out either.
I'm not going to lie. I thought Max Crosby was going to eat a lot better, more than he did yesterday.
I don't know how they did what they did to slow him down, but they actually, I mean, getting the ball out fast helps, obviously.
I mean, going into that game, I'm like, if there's one thing that can like really wreck this game, it's going to be him because their offensive line can be turnstiles at points.
Yeah. I mean, Mims is still very raw. And
I actually think he could be good.
Yeah. And they're playing forward on the other side with Brown out. And I mean, dude, like, I think his pass blocking grade is like in the 20s.
Dude.
Like, it's real bad. So I don't know. All this to say, they go to Baltimore on Thursday night. Truly like a must win.
Oh, 100%.
Just to like prove it that any of this even matters more than anything else, because even if they lost this one, they could still look, they're duking it out with the Broncos, the Colts, the Chargers, like for that 6-7 seed, they could probably do that just based on having Joe Burrow and the schedule opening up here a little bit. But like, does it matter? Not really. Like, if you can't beat any good team, then kind of what is the point? So I think it's kind of a prove it spot for them. If the season's going to amount to anything, Joe was so pissed off yesterday. Like I said, I've been watching the press conferences. I mean, this guy, he's on another level. I've even watched the game ball after. I think I sent it. Did I send this to you guys today?
Yes, you did.
Joe gets a game ball and immediately throws it back to the ball guy. Like,
he's just not in the mood.
No, and I love it. He is ultimate fuck you mode right now.
I don't dislike that.
No.
Yeah, I don't like.
I think he feels.
And honestly, a lot of that was directed towards Burton yesterday. I think everybody at this point is probably, or if you haven't, there's a video, well documented at this point. He skipped the walkthroughs, healthy scratch. They planned the whole game plan around him.
Yep.
And he was on the sidelines, and he was like trying to buddy up to Burrow. And Burrow was like not having it. Made him get up off the bench, essentially. I think a lot of that was directed at him. But it's kind of like he's kind of been in this mood for a couple games, I feel like. And that was like the first publicly visible. Those two things are like the first publicly visible. It's like this guy's in like a no fucks given attitude right now.
Zach came over at one point to give him a fist bump.
Not having that either. Like, we're fist bumping when beating the piss out of a 2-win team. Congratulations.
That's exactly kind of how what he said after the game. And throughout the season, you've heard him talk about like, well, I guess I just have to be perfect. Like, just throwing jabs at the organization, the other side of the football. Like, I don't know, man.
Well, I do have to bring this up because we were talking about trades and stuff. And I was like, Chiefs traded for DeAndre Hopkins last week. And I was like, as Bengals fans, you got to kind of have, or just as a fan in general, like, they go all in every year somehow. Like, they've never won a Super Bowl. Like, they're trying to win their first Super Bowl. And it's almost like I'm jealous. Like, I'm jealous as a Packers fan. Like, they've never been that aggressive at a trade deadline ever. And they haven't won a Super Bowl, in a decent amount of time. The Bengals have never won one. And you got a team that's won, 3 in the last 5 years or whatever. And they're going all in like they haven't won a Super Bowl ever.
Yeah.
But that was kind of, I'm just saying that in the fact that you said that you didn't want your team trading for a washed out wide receiver. Shout out to Ryan, boots on the ground, giving me real time updates. He scored tonight, by the way. So we're going to let you eat your words live here.
Look, I wouldn't want to make that move as a franchise. I get what they're doing.
I know.
The thing that I respect about the Chiefs is that they're just looking at roster building as a whole. They don't highly covet these draft picks. They don't make super big flashy.
No, they're like, who can help us now? It's a proven commodity, right?
They have done such a good job at just like, they've built a foundation and then they just strengthen around it in these little ways.
Because what did they give up for him? 4th round?
I think it was like, at best, it could be a conditional 4th, basically.
Yeah. So I think it was like a 5th conditional 4th or something like that.
Right.
Like, just for instance, right? Like, he's a proven commodity. He might be a little on the older side, right? He's got 6 receptions, 66 yards, and a touchdown night.
Yeah,
but they're like, okay, we don't know what we're going to get in the 5th or 4th round, but you kind of know vaguely what you're going to get with him right this second.
They just made that trade for Uche or whatever his name is from the Patriots. Really solid pass rusher. You bring him in. He's a rotational player probably, but like, he's better than, whatever other 5th or 6th lineman they probably were having on the field.
Yeah, the Bengals are like loyal to a fault sometimes. Like, I love Sam Hubbard. I do. He's not the Sam Hubbard from 3-4 years ago. That guy was useful, right? Like, this guy seems like it's like he's decent against the run. Anything outside of that is just kind of a dumpster fire for him right now. Like, he's not bad against the run, but any pass rush situation, for whatever reason, they still drop him back in coverage. I'm still not sure why we're still doing that, but like, it's just like one of those things where it's like, hey, you can keep Sam on the roster, but like bringing somebody in to be on that side of the ball as just rotational, even if it's for pass downs, right? It's like get someone there that's like slightly younger or like is just a better pass rusher. To me, that's not a diss to Sam Hubbard. That's just saying like, hey, like, in the fourth quarter because he's good against the run, we need you in here to stop the run and stuff like that. But, I don't know. Sometimes they're just loyal to a fault to certain players and they don't want to, step on any toes by trading and getting people. That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah. Like, so this is a perfect example of this. So I saw this on Instagram the other night. Somebody put together since 2015 and excluding this season, each team's percentage of draft picks that have never played in the NFL.
Oh, God.
The Chiefs are the best on the list. Only 1.5% of their picks never take a snap. The Bengals are 29th in the league, 8.9%.
Never take a snap.
Here we are clutching our pearls over these draft picks.
Like they're, yeah.
Instead of trading them for somebody useful now.
Like a known commodity. That's all
you
it's
just
about.
need more known commodities on this roster.
Yeah.
There's too many times they take these developmental guys and stuff and they just never pan out. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And, it's so funny. It's like the Packers were always like that on the defensive side, specifically with like the safety position, right? And thank God, like finally this year they're like, we're clearly not good at this. Like, so they went out and got Xavier McKinney. It's like known commodity, right? Like, like he's going to be pretty good. Like, does he have the upside of like what you would get in the first round? Probably not. But he also doesn't have the downside of like drafting a bust in the first round, right?
Yeah.
They've done that a couple times on the defensive line. Like they had some really horrendous defensive line picks. They went out and like got Preston Smith. They had Za'Darius for a little while. Like they went out and got known commodities in those positions because they were just like, look, we tried the whole drafting route, didn't work. We've got to get something in here, and I think that's where the Bengals are. It's like specifically like defensive back. It's like, okay, you've tried this. Like you've got like 5 or 6 guys you've drafted. Maybe one of them is panned out. Like maybe go out and get like a known defensive back,
or when you have a chance to pay a foundational player like a Jesse Bates,
you pay
him.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, look, they've made it work paying Mahomes ungodly money. They've paid Chris Jones too. They paid Travis Kelce. They paid
I think it's a lot of it is like they get these rental guys, and maybe they're only there for a year, maybe they're there for 2 years, but like it doesn't hit the bottom line like it would if you go out and just pay somebody, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the Bengals need to do something. Or to me, it's like if you don't do anything, you're essentially saying this season's a wash.
Yeah, or they just have they will forever have blind faith in like, all right, we're building a team before the season. This is the team,
and this
win.
Is it. Yeah. Yep.
So I don't know. We'll see. Trade deadline's tomorrow. So good luck. Godspeed to me. I'm gonna be refreshing Twitter all day. So tough day to refresh Twitter too with trade deadline and election the same day.
Yeah,
Man.
It took me a hot second. I bookmarked, like Twitter was like spazzing out. I think it's all the political. That For You section, man, that's we've talked about wild place. I was trying to get to my bookmarks and it was like kept refreshing on me. But yeah, go out and vote. We'll say that. Go out and vote.
Your right.
Yeah.
Go vote.
Yep.
We are pro voting.
But
podcast.
It's a tough day for Twitter tomorrow. I think I'm going to try to stay off of it as much as I possibly can.
It's like I got to do better job of I don't know, creating like the whatever they are. You can like create your own like feed for certain stuff.
You can just stay out of that For You section.
Lists. I think they're called lists.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. That's what I need. I should have.
Yeah, I'll say I have probably 7 muted words.
Yeah.
2 of them don't really apply to right now, but like 5 of them do, and it helps clean it up too. Like
it's a good idea.
Like I put a phrase in there like "Fire Ryan Day." I was tired of hearing it. Like I just like needed it off my timeline.
Yeah.
Like so, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go in here and mute these. Like I had to do them all separately. I did like "Fire Ryan Day," so I don't hear anything about Ryan Day anymore, but I still get Ohio State stuff.
Yeah.
It's if you have Twitter, it's a good way to like keep things out of your timeline that you don't want to read.
Yeah, process of elimination. That's good. It's
Tomorrow you might want to put like election or electoral votes in there just to keep it off the timeline.
Oh, man. All right, well, with that, we will go to the patio where anything goes. Much like the Twitter For You section.
Yeah. Dude, half the time, like, I gotta make sure it's not on, like, if I open Twitter in public. Like, it's a wild place.
Yeah, you can't take that chance.
I've seen people, like, if I need a laugh every once in a while, like, I'll go in and, like, search the, like, people talking about the For You section. Some funny stuff in there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'll let you go first this week.
Me first, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't have much, but I was kind of thinking about this. Just as we actually are like entering fall now, we talked about this with coffee, about the whole like switching from hot coffee to cold and vice versa or whatever.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit in the conversation of like seasonal drinking and stuff. But have you made a switch, or are you planning to make a switch? Do you kind of ease out of the light beer phase into heavier beers, or
you know, liquor? I used to.
Yeah.
But it is bourbon season right now.
That's it.
So right. I went a little knee deep in some bourbon last Wednesday at a happy hour. It was just like, it was a little chilly. I was like, man, there was something like, I was just craving an old fashioned.
Yep.
And then, you know, I've had like one Manhattan in my life. It was okay. And I said that to one of the people I was with. They're like if you like old fashions, you should like Manhattans. Like, they're just not as sweet. So I was like, well, maybe I'll get one. And I got one. I'm like, holy shit, these are really good too. Like,
yeah, Manhattans are like kind of a one and doneer for me though.
Yeah,
the vermouth is a little much.
It is a little much. I will say that. But they were good. This one was a lot better than the first one. But like, I will say this, right? Like, this season right now, cold, I'll drink more bourbon than I ever do the rest of the year. Like, summer bourbon, just like that to me just sounds kind of awful.
No.
You know, but like from now until like February, I'll drink a decent amount of bourbon. But for me, it's like, that's going to be like a bottle every 6 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to like crush through a bottle a day, or a bottle a day. God damn.
I hope not.
Dead. Like a bottle a week or something crazy like that.
No, same. Yeah.
Because I was handing, that's what I was like, handing out bourbon at trick or treat. I do it every year. Like, I put some small glasses. I've got 12 bottles of Buffalo Trace. As soon as you tell someone you like stuff, you constantly get them.
Yep.
You know, have you
It's
ever?
like the curse of being a golfer. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I like this golf ball, and it's like, that's great, but like, or you know, whatever. You just get so many of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, I put it out, and like, I hand it, like, I've got such a backup of bourbon. Like, I probably need to drink a little more of it just to like, not that it's bad just sitting there, but
I'm with you. Same.
But I think I would say, yes, I've made the switch of like, from, I guess, mixing in bourbon right now. But like, I used to be like this time of year, I would go to like craft beers and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a little more grown up now. I realize that like wasting 270 calories on one beer is probably not the best idea.
Yeah, that's the good news with, I mean, obviously, you know, alcohol is going to be calorie packed anyway, but like, I will say the efficiency of bourbon is helpful during the holidays.
Yeah, it is. Like we talked about it, like Thanksgiving, it's like, you know, after dinner, like the last thing you want to do is put like 6 more beers in your system.
No,
it's like, no, I need like 3 or 4 bourbons is what I need.
Yeah.
Or wine. Like I like wine too. Like I will say this, like right now I drink more wine too than I would say in the summer. Like red wine in the summer is not good either. I'm not a big white wine drinker, so I know that's supposedly better in the summer because it's, you know, not dark. But yeah, I drink more wine right now too, for sure.
I'm going to admit something. I kind of like rosés. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, God.
I kind of do.
If you said that in front of some of the people that got me into wine drinking, they would make fun of you so bad.
Oh, I'm sure. I don't care. I just kind of do.
Dude, I got into this like Instagram one night, just kind of flipping through. I found this page. If you're not a wine drinker and you don't want to go out and like splurge on a $50 bottle of wine, what they'll do is like they'll give you a bottle. Like if you're drinking this, like a nice bottle of wine, like they'll give you the cheaper version that's like tastes just as good. These guys are all like, now I'm hooked in. Like I check their page like twice a week.
Interesting.
So like if you're trying to get in wine, if anybody's trying to get in wine, that's a really good. I can't remember the name of it. But it's pretty good. But rosés are trash. They are. It's like the chick drink. It's like the chick wine.
You saying chicks are trash?
No, I'm just saying like that's like if you're a man, like if you're a man drinking wine, it's like the way. Like I would be embarrassed to order a rosé at a restaurant.
Yeah, I guess I don't care.
But it is someone who doesn't drink a lot of wine, which I know you don't.
No,
it is like the one.
I will say, like I like Proseccos and champagnes more than wine.
Look,
like that's where I'm at.
Costco Prosecco, Kirkland brand Prosecco is good. It's pretty good. Like I'm not gonna lie, it's like $5 a bottle. Like I've got a neighbor. She buys it by the case.
Dude, yeah,
it's good. It is good. But I don't hate that. But God, I gotta get you like. We got to do like a bottle of wine in here one night, like a good one.
Yes, we should.
And I think it'll change your mind. Like the wine I tried to order. I'm not
saying I prefer it. I'm just saying like I'm not.
But I'm saying like what I was told, and I laughed about it when I was told this. When I first started drinking wine, it was like I was like I hate wine, and the lady I work with that got me into drinking wine was like, you just haven't had a good wine yet. And I was like, okay, like then show me what a good wine is. I had wine called Camus. It is like drinking like Kool-Aid. Like but it's so good. And I was like, and she was like, okay, well, this is the top of the line. Now we just need to start working our way down to see where like your threshold is, right?
Yeah.
Of like how cheap you can go before you're like, this kind of tastes like shit.
Yeah.
Which I think bourbon's kind of the same way, right? It's
like, for sure, yeah.
Here's the good stuff up top, and then it's like you work your way down. It's like, okay, where is my threshold? Okay. I've reached something that's $35 a bottle. That's my threshold. It's like I can't go below that.
Exactly.
No, we're gonna do that one night now.
We should. I think we need guests for that episode.
Probably.
Yeah, we'll figure that one out.
That was a good question. So when is your like changeover? About right now?
Yeah, I think so. I think once I think Halloween is like a good like, especially if you get like a little bit chillier one. And if you're giving out candy, like there's nothing like have a fire, have a bourbon.
Yeah.
Kind of like kicks it off. If not that, definitely like as you're rounding into Thanksgiving. Like
for
Thanksgiving
is
like a bourbon holiday to me.
Yeah.
Like that kind of kicks off the run of until you get to New Year's and then you're like, I need to cleanse. But
yeah. One of my neighbors, she loves bourbon. She came around a couple times to get some Buffalo Trace on Halloween. And she was wearing a sweater on Saturday. And it said whiskey weather.
Yeah.
And I was like, 100%. That is so true. Like it is like a legit, like a thing. I know guys that drink it year round, but.
Yeah, it's just, I can't do it. Like I prefer to drink it straight or neat or whatever. So like that's a cold weather thing.
Yeah, that's tough to do when it's 90 degrees out and you're sitting on your back porch or something. Like
no. So now coming out of, I always do the sober January.
I'm doing it again.
Back, good.
Yeah.
When I get back into it, in February, March, I never know like how to get back in. Usually, like I just go straight back to like beers,
Yeah, that's what I don't know if you'd want to jump back into like bourbon.
No, but I feel like there could be like a way there could be something there that I'm just not. You know what I mean?
And honestly,
maybe that's wine time.
So this is what I did last year because I lost all that weight in dry January, and I didn't want to like gain it back right away. So I went into like a huge like tequila tonic.
Yeah, I remember this.
And like vodka tonic and vodka water kick. Because I was like, these are like, it's essentially 0 calories. I mean,
that's it.
Low carb, 0 calories. That's kind of how I worked it back in. Like the first time I drank though, and I had those, I was like hammered. Like after like 2 or 3 drinks, I'm like, holy shit. But I didn't drink for 31 days. Right. And went back to sucking down like Patron and Don Julio. It's like it's a tough way to introduce your body back to alcohol.
Yeah,
going south of the border.
I think I'm gonna do some experimenting come February, March.
Yeah,
I gotta figure out what belongs there.
But I just didn't want to go back and like start hammering beers and like gain all that weight.
Yeah,
back.
that's what I mean. You gotta. Yeah, I'm with you.
Because I lost like 33 pounds last year during dry.
Yeah,
might say a thing or two about the amount of beer I drink, but some would say, not me, but some would say,
right.
But that might be a good way to work it back in.
Yeah, I think you're right.
All right, because election's tomorrow.
Okay.
This has nothing to do with the candidates, but if you were going to run for a public office, what would your catchphrase be for your campaign?
Oh man, that's so good. Campaign slogan. Oh, I need more time to think about this to really nail it.
It's a tough question. Oh, because I don't think slogans. Well, I say this, and we have a couple slogans out there for some candidates, but I think back in the day, it used to be like, you have to have a slogan, right?
Yeah.
They're not as advertised now, I don't think.
Well, I mean, Obama had the hope thing. Trump, obviously, the Make America Great Again.
Yeah, I guess those are two outliers. But I think outside of those, you know what I mean? I don't know. They're not as advertised as they probably used to be. Yeah.
Mine would have to lean into something about common sense or just sick of this shit. You know what I mean? Something like that. You know what I mean? I'd go down that avenue. Yeah, just try to appeal to the people that are like me, that are just kind of apathetic in this current moment.
So I was thinking about this, going so we went completely different directions.
Yeah.
It's mine, I was I still didn't come up with one,
right,
but mine would be somewhere along the lines of it's the neighbor you drink beer with next door. You know what I mean? That's me.
The common man. You're
I'm the common man. Yeah.
Okay.
There it is.
Yeah.
I think simple was better.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Sometimes these are way too overthought. I've seen some doing some research when I thought about this question. I saw some and I'm like, bro, your slogan's a paragraph. It needs to be 5 words max, maybe 4. Simple is better.
Yeah, it's got to fit on your name on a sign kind of thing.
Yeah. But I saw some longer ones. I'm like, yeah. I don't like that. If as soon as it gets over 5 words, I'm kind of out. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
But I think 4 to 5 words is probably the max.
I totally
Common
agree.
man is drunk man. You know.
Just have a drink with me. That'd be good.
And then, I'd go into the fence our founding fathers were always drunk when they were writing stuff. So,
yeah.
You just got to take it back to that.
It's freedom juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It would have to be something, like I said, something along those lines.
It's something pessimistic for sure. He's sick of this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it would be. It would be something along those lines.
I think yours would be more pessimistic. Mine would be more down to earth guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not that you're not down to earth, but you just get pessimistic about stuff so fast.
Oh yeah.
That it's you just got to make sure people know that going in. So when you go down a dark hill in your words, that they know where this is coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of that comes from you interact with me a lot about my sports teams, and there's just a lot to be dark about. So
that's probably fair.
Part of it. That's kind of what brings that out of me. But I would agree for sure that I'm going down that path. I'm winning votes because like I said, I'm for the people that are just over it. That's who I'm for.
So it's so funny we're talking.
Are you
about,
over it? Me too.
Yeah. It's so funny we're talking about this. I told a story, and I'm not going to go into specifics. The story that I told actually in Hinkle's pool after the Stampede this year. But I had this stint in life where I was I'm running for public office.
Yeah. And
I had a guy. I actually worked with a guy that he ran polling and stuff, internal polls for. And essentially, it was an assistant on their big big campaigns, like Senate campaigns, Congress campaigns, like nothing presidential, but like statewide, district-wide stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm like telling him, like, I'm going to run for public office. And he was like, give me a week. Like, okay. He did Oppo research on me.
Oh, no.
He goes, please don't run for public office.
That tracks.
I won't get into specifics of what he found. It's all kind of funny, but it's like, it's nothing like, it's nothing like I got like an illegitimate child running around or something, nothing like that. But it's like, it was like just enough for him to be like, please don't put your family through this.
Yeah,
like,
you don't want to do this. That's smart.
And it like, it takes me back to a conversation I had like 20 years ago when like maybe 15, when like Facebook, phones on cameras started. I'm like, what is 20 years going to be like from now? Like when we like, you know, we all had our dumb college days, right? Like, are you really not going to elect somebody because he's got a cake stand photo in his Facebook? You know what I mean? Like stupid stuff like that. I was apparently talking about myself. Like,
yeah.
Like, he's like, don't put your family through that.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
So funny.
I think my slogan would be, I don't want to do this either.
I don't want to be here either.
Yeah, I don't want to do this either.
That is good.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, Lord.
Now that I said that story, mine would probably be like, yeah, I did that too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Jesus.
Oh.
All right, that's a good way to get out of this one. Thank you all for listening. Again, please subscribe, rate, and review the show. We appreciate that. Follow us on social media at Back96Pack. And shoot us a text message. Let us know what your campaign slogan would be.
God.
I'm curious. But until next time, cheers.
See ya. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Back 9 Six-Pack. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Back 9 Six-Pack for all your content needs. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.